Hello, my name is Blake. I'm a professional innovator and designer, and I have a passion for the invisible smart home.
Water leak alert.
Today I'm going to install and configure the Zooz Scene Controller. This 5-button controller. It's a Z-Wave device and connect it to my SmartThings and set up some routines for lamps and lights. Alright, so because we're going to be installing this today, I wanted to talk a bit about buttons. I've played with scene controllers in the past with SmartThings. This thing is here that I'm showing. I forget who the manufacturer is, but it's several years old, and it was a bit of effort to get it to pair with SmartThings at the time, and we had to use a custom device handler. And even after we got it working, it was kind of flaky and it wasn't a great solution. But the Zooz 5-button scene controller installed almost flawlessly. There was something weird about the pairing, and when I do the pairing again now, we'll see if it happens again, where it kind of doubled up on everything and I had to delete the 5 set of ghost buttons. As a related topic, I wanted to talk a bit about lamps and the problem with lamp modules and smart light bulbs. A smart lamp that's controlled with a lamp module, even a switch, is that most users, and they're designed this way, most users are just going to reach under and turn off the lamp. Then of course it's disconnected from the smart home. So a good solution is just to put in a button, and there's lots of different Z-Wave, Zigbee, and Wi-Fi buttons available. I've tested buttons from Fabera, Yolink, Flick, and many others, Z-Wave, Zigbee, and Wi-Fi. And I found they're just not very reactive. And not very reliable. So I didn't like that as a solution. So what you do is you put the button, someplace close to the lamp, obvious, that the user would kind of intuitively see it as an option to turn the lamp off and on, so they're not reaching underneath the lamp and turning off the switch and disconnecting it from your smart home. And the buttons are a good idea, but two problems, as I said: they're not reliable and they're not reactive enough, like quickly enough. And if it's a Zigbee or Z-Wave, or especially the Wi-Fi versions, the batteries just aren't great. 6 months, maybe a year, in my experience. So I found another solution that I like, and it's not popular in North America, but there's lots of 433 devices, leak sensors, contact sensors that work with these 433 bridges. Sonoff has one. I think there's one for the 2U Smart Life, and there's a few others. We use the Sonoff bridge in our bridge kit, and you use a Sonoff lamp module as an example, and then you set up the bridge to turn off and on the module. Now that just gives you a button close to the lamp. And the battery in these things pretty much lasts forever, because, well, not forever, but for the shelf life of the battery almost, because they're only connected, there's only drawing power when you actually push the button. You can't integrate the button into SmartThings, but you can integrate the lamp module into SmartThings. So it's a bit of a compromise, because you need two apps, one to kind of make the button work, and the other you can integrate into SmartThings for your schedules or whatever. So here's an example of a Sonoff eWeLink lamp solution. So I have this button underneath here, which I've paired to the bridge that I showed you earlier. I push that button and I can get my office light to go off and on. But there's lots of options with the Sonoff. Here's a multi-button remote that has a nice wall mount option. And the same concept, but on my front gate, with a wrapped in silicone leak sensor. It uses the same concept, 433 communications. I get notifications, and I have one of my lights go off and on as kind of a notification. You can get leak sensors that use the same concept, and as I've showed, there's contact sensors that use the 433 concept. One cool way to do it, I'm not sure why the Z-Wave and Zigbee versions of the buttons can't just be like a contact door sensor. It doesn't seem that's the way they do it, because the batteries have never been great for me on these, 6 months or so. Let's get to the install. I've got my standard tools to get started, and I'm not going to show it this time, but remember to turn off power at the breaker. Alright, so I'll be installing this 5-button scene controller. So the hard wire is going to be replacing this switch, which controls the fan. But then I'll be setting the other buttons that control various lamps and lights in this whole area. This is my little partner. She likes to follow me around. I'm going to remove both so I can get at the wires easier. I've turned off the wire, the breaker, and actually I turned off 2 breakers. This lamp to the right of me went off. I wanted to make sure anything close by was... Alright, so I'm going to assume there's power there now until I check it, even though I've turned off the breaker. Nothing there, nothing there. Okay, so there's 0 power in there. This is load, this is line, and this is ground. So before I tuck it all back in there, I'm going to turn the 2 breakers on to see if it works. Best just to click this, see if the fan goes on, which it does. Alright, so let's tuck it back in. Probably not going to line up the first time. Alright, so we need to turn the power back on now. Just select it. Alright, let's see, get to the pairing process. So I've seen in the documentation here, you can scan the QR code. I guess it takes you to a web page with instructions, but I'm just going to try the pairing mode. You tap it 3 times quickly, so we'll try that. And as I think I've said before, there's 2 ways to get into pairing in SmartThings. So generally I just use the generic scan and device, and I just use scan for nearby devices. But let's just see if it's in the list to be clear. So Zooz would be at the bottom. Let's go down to Z, and it's there, Zooz. Let's see if it has it. Doesn't look like it has it. I don't think so anyway. Let's get started with Zooz Zen34. We need the Zen32, I think, and it's not on the list. But for the heck of it, let's just try that and see what happens. Because they do, it's probably a Z-Way product. You're supposed to tap this 3 times. Okay, I get to pick my hub. And now it's looking for it, so let's see. It's blinking there blue, so maybe it's looking for it. On yellow, so I feel like it's found it, but the app hasn't caught up to it yet. Unless it just quit trying. Alright, I'm going to go back to see if it did find it. And it would be in the bottom here. There, it found it, but it didn't acknowledge it on the screen there. Alright, so it found it and it put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's right, that's correct, I think. I should be able to turn the switch off and on with this. Alright, so that part's working. So it looks like it wasn't so funky this time. Alright, so that's good. So I'm going to go through and set these up in automation. So I've paired the device. I've renamed the buttons, and I've put them in a room with the lights that they're going to be controlling. And I've actually set up a few routines with the buttons, and I'll set up one right now so you can see how to do that. All right, so I want to set up a button so when you push this, it turns on this lamp here. Let's go into automations. I want to add automation, not a scene, but a routine. A custom routine, and I'm going to go device status, and I'm going to look for that button, which is in the room. The rooms are in order here, some order. Main level, so the button I want is 1, I think. Okay, so I want it when it's pressed, but look, you can do it when it's held, double press, all the way up to 5 presses. I'm not clear on what this does, but I can cover that in another video at some point in terms of the LED colors and brightness. I guess you can change the LED colors and brightness maybe. Anyway, when it's pressed, I want this lamp to come on, so let's find the lamp. It's in the same room. And it's the living room lamp, it's right there. Next. And I don't want it to come on, I don't want it to go off, I want it to just be the opposite of what it is, so that's what I've set. Done. Save, and I like to name them. Done. Alright, let's just see if it works. There we go. So now I can turn that lamp off and on by pushing that button. So you can set that up for all the lights and lamps in the room. I can even turn off my TV with an all-off command. Like I said earlier, I think the press and single press, the single press, the hold, and maybe the double press will be useful. But if you get much more than the 3 presses and 4 and 5, you're barely going to use it, but I guess you could put some secret stuff in. I think I put one in for my door lock. You should be able to hear it. I put a triple press in. Let's just try that. It should unlock. Yeah, you might have heard that, so it did unlock. In conclusion, Zooz 5-button solution. It's great for controlling lights in a similar room, and with all the options, multiple button presses and holds and so on, you can really add a lot of features to your smart home. In terms of buttons close to lamps, I think that's a good idea, but I just don't think the Zigbee, Z-Wave, or Wi-Fi buttons are a good idea. They need some improvement, and I'm compromising right now using this 433 button type solution. Please like and give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you can, and look for my next video, which will be a video intercom for my and gate lock for the front of my house.